When this night is over, we will remember that this is a new beginning. From tomorrow on, we will have to show what our values are worth. If we are called to govern and lead this nation, we will do it for every single Italian with the goal to unite these people. Because our biggest goal in life is to make sure that Italians are finally proud again, to fly our flag high.
Make Italy proud again. Yes, Italy is poised to break the glass ceiling as Giorgia Meloni, there you see her, is likely to become the country's next prime minister. Sadly, she'll probably use the shards of glass that she broke to stab other women in the back. Why? Well, because she is part of what is called the Fratelli d'Italia, or the Brothers of Italy, which is not just a far-right party, but actually descends from a party that supported Benito Mussolini 80 years ago. And for the first time in 80 years, Italy may have yet another, fascist leader, and we'll get into more of that. But how did this all happen? What went down on Sunday at the election? So Italy's right-wing parties, in banding together, gave themselves an overwhelming electoral advantage over the fragmented left, which failed amid infighting to create a comparable coalition. The right-wing coalition secured around 44% of the overall vote, with Fratelli d'Italia receiving support from around 1/4 of all voters. Given Italy's complex system for filing seats, a mix of proportional and first-past-the-post calculations, that would be enough to give the right a solid majority in both houses of parliament. Right, so a quarter of Italians, but it can translate with the coalition to someone like Meloni being at the helm. More about Meloni. What's she about? So her campaign slogan heading into the election was Italy and Italian people first. Sounds a lot like all right-wing so-called populist slogans. America first, everything first. I don't know who's putting other countries before Italy. Certainly not me as an Italian. No, but anyway, so there you go. More about her, though. She was born in 1977. She joined the youth wing of the neo-fascist Italian Social Movement Party when she was 15 to take a stand against the far-left terror that plagued Italy during that era. She later led the student branch of the far-right National Alliance and then was elected to the Italian Parliament's Chamber of Deputies in 2006 and became Italy's youngest minister 2 years later. That Italian social movement was formed in 1946, right? And it was formed, as I said, by supporters of Benito Mussolini. Let's take a look now at the party she formed 10 years ago called the Brothers of Italy that she swears is different. 2014, they formed this new party, nothing to do with the Italy social movement. That's totally different. In fact, look at their logos. They're super different. Just there's a clear, so one on the right is that is the Italy social movement. Then the Brotherhood of Italy is on the left. That's her party. And I don't understand how anyone could confuse these things at all. Let's get into her beliefs and the beliefs of the party, and then I'll kick it to you, Cenk. But on immigration, she said no to the violence of Islam. Yes. Yes to safe borders, no to mass immigration, yes to work for our people, she said in a speech in June, which exhibited her hostility to what she considers foreign threats to traditional Christian European culture. She warns against the globalists who seek to destroy our identity and our civilizations to turn us into undefined citizens of the world. Gasp, shock, the horror. She's also called for a naval blockade to prevent migrant boats from leaving North African shores and has proposed screening potential asylum seekers in Africa before they set out on smugglers' boats to Europe. This is, by the way, in the same week that almost 80 people died migrants died leaving a boat in Lebanon. And so, hey, more violence, definitely. What about abortion? What about family? What about LGBTQ plus rights? See if you can note the similarities in this speech that she gave back in 2019. She says, quote, "They say it's scandalous to defend the natural family founded on marriage, to want to increase the birth rate, to want to place the correct value on human life, to support freedom and education, and to say no to gender ideology. The embarrassing ones aren't us. The embarrassing ones are those who support practices like a, quote, womb for rent, abortion at 9 months, and blocking the development of children with drugs at the age of 11. So In other words, any kind of transgender care for teens. Wow, where have we heard this before? I want to get into her reception internationally, but Cenk, fascism be looking the same in all different countries.
Right. Well, look, there's a common strand that she has on a couple of levels with what we're seeing around the world. But I think that we might be focusing on the wrong part. So it's easy to focus on the neo-fascist part because it's screaming like a siren, and it's hard not to hear it, right? And her verbiage is nearly identical to Trump's. He says America first, she says Italy first. Even down to the lies, the very specific lies of they want abortions all the way up to 9 months. Well, that's first in America. That's not what Roe was. Roe prevented abortions in the last trimester, but the Republicans have lied about that so thoroughly since Roe was overturned that I guarantee you, if you ask the average American, they would tell you that Roe allowed abortion all the way up to the moment of birth, because the Democrats are terrible at countering. Anyway, same thing here in Italy. She's saying the same exact lies. There's a lie factory that all the right-wingers go to pick up their goods. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I don't think that's why she won. I think that she and many others throughout the world have won running on populist outsider messages, because globally, we're all sick of corporate rule. And so when the establishment says, yeah, you have to do austerity and we're going to cut, social programs, we're going to cut anything that helps the American people, the Italian people, the Hungarian people, the Brazilian people, et cetera. We're going to cut. And by the way, good news, though, we're going to give a lot of tax cuts for the rich, et cetera. People are super mad and they see what's happening and they get very frustrated. And they go, all I know is I'm not voting for anyone in power, because those guys have been lying to me for the last 40, 50 years. And that instinct is correct, right? And so sometimes they'll go populist right, but oftentimes they also go populist left. And then people get confused. I don't get it. Is the world going right wing or is the world going left wing? No, the world is giving a giant middle finger, or the fig in the case of the Italians, to the establishment. They're all saying in unison, hey, establishment in politics and in media, we hate you. And what does the establishment media tell you? No, of course not. No, they love, it's obvious that people love right-wing politics, and that's why right-wing politics is taking off, and people hate immigrants, et cetera. By the way, if you look at polling in America, 2/3 of Americans consistently in every poll say that we should be welcoming towards immigrants. Yeah. The same 28 or 29% in every poll says we should close the border, not allow anyone in, et cetera, the Tucker Carlson position. There's the hateful 28% in every country, including here in America, okay? But what does the media tell you? The media doesn't tell you, hey, they're going populist. It doesn't say they're going populist right and populist left all across the world. It doesn't emphasize when Lula wins in Brazil. It doesn't emphasize when one of the most progressive leaders we've ever seen wins in Uruguay, and on and on and on. Mm-hmm. It emphasizes Viktor Orban in Hungary, Bolsonaro in Brazil, and her win here in Italy, et cetera, and goes, hey, everybody's going right wing, everybody, go right wing. No. That is not the message. Right. But media doesn't want you to hear the actual message, which is that the American people and the Italian people, et cetera, hate them. They hate them. And so that's what this is a reaction to. And if all across the world, guys, you have got to give them the populist left alternative. If you don't, they're going to go populist right, because they are not going to vote for the establishment. None of these countries are. France, even Macron won the first time around because he was in a new party nobody had ever heard of. And they're like, good enough. He seems like an outsider. And he comes in, and what does he do? Conservative, neoliberal things, and then people get mad at him, and it goes round and round and round. We're all trying to get rid of this corporate rule, but we have to head it in a positive direction instead of the neo-fascist direction she's taking it in Italy.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I disagree with others. Like, I don't think that they're serious about toppling corporate rule. I think they use it as a ploy. But of course, we know, as we saw, under Trump, they're not serious. They're more tax breaks for the rich. And please, corporations take it all. I mean, the thing about Mario Draghi, who is the outgoing prime minister, he was a former European bank head, like the central bank head. So again, complete financial establishment. And you're right, Cenk. A lot of people might be sick of that. That being said, Italy got an 806 billion euro bailout in the post-pandemic times because Italy is not doing well economically. Now, I would argue that I don't think Giorgia Meloni has got the answers, and I don't think it's the migrants that are doing that to Italy. I think it's because Italy's emerging from a pandemic, and yeah, they're probably like just in a hole, like a lot of economies are. But you're totally right that, and I think it's important to name this. The difference between what you're saying isn't we should work with the right-wing populists. It's we need the option of left-wing populism to counter the right-wing populists because we know that anti-establishment message is a right one, is a good one, without the xenophobia and the Christian nationalism and all that crap. And I did just want to bring into, she is kind of like the nexus of a lot of these right-wing groups. So she's the chair of the right-wing European conservative and reformist group in the European Parliament. It gathers the Brothers of Italy, her party, Poland's Law and Justice Party, Spain's Vox, and the Sweden Democrats, who just won big in the elections on a platform of cracking down on crime and limiting immigration. Here you've got Viktor Orban on Facebook, and he's given her a big ups. Bravo, Georgia. Hell yeah. A more deserved victory. A more than deserved victory. Congratulations. And that echoes, of course, Vladimir Putin and Spain's far-right Vox party, who also congratulated Georgia. She has toyed with the idea of leaving the EU, but as I just laid out, I don't think economically, and certainly England is not a good example of what happens when you decide to leave the EU. I don't think they can afford to. They want to leave the EU on like xenophobic / economic grounds, but they don't have an alternative that's actually going to help them build up their so-called national industry. Anyway, last thing I'm going to say is I think it's important. It makes me feel like we are all in this together. Like it's like I feel solidarity with the people of Italy in terms of the resistance to the far right, because I see so much of it reflected in our far right that I'm like, you know what? This struggle is global. Let's take it global.
Yeah, so I'll say one last thing just as a point of clarification. So I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying. Right-wing populism isn't real. It's fake populism. In fact, it's meant to help corporate rule because what it does is it gins up culture wars. And Anna talks about this all the time. She's absolutely right. And the culture wars that the right-wing media and corporate media partake in are meant to be a distraction while corporations rule us all. So right-wing both media and politicians are not an answer to corporate rule. They pretend to be because they know that people all across the world hate corporate rule. So they're at least clever enough to pretend they're against it. But in reality, all they're doing is trying to distract you while that corporate rule continues to rob you over and over again. And it's not a matter of opinion. You could just see it in their policies. Whenever you say to the right wing, oh, great, you guys are populist, so let's raise everybody's wages. They're like, whoa, no. The Chamber of Commerce disagrees. No way, right? Okay, but let's give everybody health care at least. I mean, populist, America first, Italy first. Everybody should have health care, right? Oh, no. Health insurance industry first, drug companies second, American people 278th. Okay, so, but by the way, I'll say one last thing. The Europeans, their right wingers can't go as far as ours. Why? Because they already have a lot of left wing policies in place, and the people love it.
Right.
So if she tried
left,
to
right?
Yeah, no, but there's real left wing policies in Italy too. Like if she tried to take away universal health care, they would throw her out tomorrow, literally. Italy would call an election and she would be removed from office the very next day, right? Here in America, we don't even have universal health care. And then our politicians come in and go, no, you shouldn't have it, because then how would health insurance companies and drug companies make even more profits off your back and off your deaths? And everybody goes, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Republicans are populist. That's why they want the American people to die for extra drug company profits. But hey, they don't like it when drug companies say that gay people are okay. So see, we're against corporate rule, right? That's the trick that's being played.